everyone, it's Nadia from YARNutopia. Today we are making this finger knit. That's right, we don't even need any tools besides the scissors. We are doing a finger knit with these Fluffy Hugs chunky blanket. This is so super fluffy. I have seen blankets like this on Instagram, on all over the interwebs, and I wanted one for myself, and I had to make myself one, you guys. This is so super fabulous. If you recall, a while ago, I made the Cozy Colossal blanket, and I used single crochets. I used a really thick crochet hook, but I was like, you know what, I want a really like stretchy blanket and something that looks more knit than crochet. So I learned how to finger knit. It is so much fun, you guys. You don't even need any skills, really. I mean, I'm not a knitter like I know how to knit, but I crochet most of the time. And so I was like, ooh, I'm a little nervous, and I learned it, and I wanted to show you guys how I did this because it is so super simple. So this is going to be finger knit. This is the Fluffy Hugs chunky blanket. Big, huge thank you to Red Heart Yarns for providing the yarn for this project today. I will tell you, I didn't even use that much. I used, on my Cozy Colossal blanket, there was like 23 balls of yarn. This one takes half of that. It takes like 10. If you want to do it bigger, obviously more, but I used 5 skeins of each of these colors. So you can see here are my colors. This one doesn't have a label because it is so chunky, it just bursts right off of it. So this is the label here. It is Irresistible Yarn by Red Heart Yarns. This is 90% acrylic and 10% wool. It is super thick, super chunky. It is a jumbo size yarn, which is a size 7 here. This yarn is so thick and chunky, and it's super, super soft to work with, which is really nice because when you're working with your fingers only, it slides on your fingers really nicely and just feels really soft. So it's a lot of fun to make, but this yarn ball only comes in 29 yards of yarn. Okay, so you're going to need a lot of these. I would recommend getting 10 balls of yarn. You can use one color, you can use multiple colors. I'm using 2 colors in this tutorial. You can change colors as often as you want. It is that easy, and I will show you how. So I'm just going to do in this video, I'm just going to do a swatch, but you can make it as big or small as you want. So I will put the measurements for the type of blanket. This one right here in screen is 60 inches by 50 inches. So 60 inches long by 50 inches wide, and it is very stretchy. As you can see, it stretches. And this blanket is like the size of a throw blanket that I would have in my living room on my couch, which is exactly where I want it because I just like to curl up on the couch and watch Netflix with Nate and just have this big blanket. It's so nice and cozy. So big thank you to Red Heart Yarns for this yarn. Big thank you to my dad back here who's going to be filming over my shoulder, and big thank you to you for watching. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure to like this video if you like it. Let's get started and make this finger knit Fluffy Hugs chunky blanket. Alright, let's start out. You need your supplies, so we'll start out with this color here, okay? And a scissors is good to have just when you're going to change color and obviously weave in some ends. So I'm just going to have that on standby here. And we are going to grab our yarn, and what we're going to do is start off with a slip knot. So put your short end over your long end, then fold this down, and then pull that through and pull tight. And you can pull as tight as you want, okay? Then take your long end and kind of pull so that your fingers, 3 of your fingers like this, fit through there. Okay? You could even do it a little looser. There we go, like this. Now, that blanket that I showed you in the intro of this video was my very first one, and it didn't even look that bad. So if your stitches become longer or shorter or wider, it does not matter. You won't see that. So what I'm going to do is grab a bunch of yarn. Just kind of unravel the ball here. Okay, and you can chain as much as you want for how big of a blanket you want. Okay, so I chained 36 for that blanket that I showed you in the intro. So what we're going to do is hold our fingers in there like this, grab the working yarn, and just pull it through that little slip knotted pull there, just like that. And there's one chain. Okay, then kind of pull this out, make sure they kind of look even on your size here, and then go from the back here, grab your working yarn, and pull it through. Okay, there's our second chain. And we're just going to keep doing this until we have 36 chains. So just pull through, kind of pull it, make sure they're kind of even in size or close to in size, and just like this. So this is going to be our base line here. Okay, see how like this one kind of looks a little bigger than the rest? That's okay. Don't worry about how much bigger, as long as one's not like this, and then, you know, going to your next one obviously is way too big. So just make sure you are cautious of how big your chain is becoming, and just chain I chained 36 for the 60-inch by 50-inch blanket. Okay, so once you have your 60 chains across, or 65 chains, I think I did 65 chains. Yeah, I did 65 chains across, and in that blanket I showed you in the intro of this video, so I did 65 chains. Okay, so this is what it should look like. I'm just doing a swatch right now because it's super simple. So once you have your 65 chains across, this is what it sort of should look like, really long. Okay, what we're going to do now is chain one. We're going to go back and forth, okay, but we're not turning our work around. We don't need to turn our work. So chain one here, okay, and kind of pull up a loop and just leave it. Okay, then go to this next chain right here. Oops, sorry, this chain right here. So we just pulled up a loop on this chain. It kind of looks like another chain, but we're going to slide it upward. Okay, then this very next chain is right here. So we're going to take our working yarn and we're going to put it into that chain from the back and pull it up. Okay, but make sure that this loop doesn't get pulled because it's attached like that. We want to make sure that we have our loops all up like this. Okay, then hop to the next chain right here and pull up your working yarn through that. Okay, and you want all these loops up top here to be the same size. Okay, so go to the next chain and pull that up. Go to the next chain and pull that up. It's going to be much better for you to work on a tabletop. That's all I have to say, is because I couldn't work on this on the couch or even on the floor. It's best to work on it like at the kitchen table or at your desk or something. So I just work on it in my studio. So just like this, pulling up all these loops. And you're going to do this all the way across your baseline chain. Okay, now obviously it's not going to look knitted yet. Just make sure all your loops are the same size across. Okay, and if one is a little bit bigger than the other or one is a little bit smaller than the other, no big deal. Okay, and you can use this concept for scarves or for baby blankets or for king-size blankets even. Oh my gosh, how luxurious would it be to be on a king-sized blanket? Awesome. Okay, so once you are all the way across here, just like this, you have all your loops. Make sure not to lose any loops. It's getting pretty loopy up in here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is continue. We are going to now make sure that your work, your loops here, just like this right here, can get twisted. Okay, and then they look like one of those awareness ribbons like this, kind of looped or twisted. You want to make sure it's not twisted. Okay, so what we want to do is now take our working yarn, go to the back here and pull it forward in this one. Okay, then we're going to trail this along on this side. Okay, actually where's our working yarn? On this side. There we go. So you want to make sure your working yarn now is on this side, and we are going to pull up the loops. Make sure, so now we're going to work back that way. Okay, so make sure this isn't twisted and pull that loop through. Okay, then go to this next one. See how this got twisted like that? You can see that's twisted, and then if you flip it this way, it's not twisted. Okay, we want it not twisted. And then you can pull up the loop through there, and just make sure your loops are all the same size. Just like that, and just keep going along the way now. And now you can just, if you have just one solid color, you can continue on this pattern however big you want this piece to be. Okay, sorry, my hand is going to be in the way of this one here, but I'm just going to finish this row. We're just pulling up loops now. This is basically the pattern. So now at this point, we're in the last stitch here. Make sure it's not twisted. There we go. Pull that up. Okay, so now what we want to do is come and bring this yarn back. We're going to go back this way. So pull this up through that last one we made. Then go to the next one and pull that up. Again, make sure these aren't twisted. You gotta twist them around. Pull that up. Just like this. Truthfully, like, you don't really even need any skills. Like, I was telling Nate earlier, I was like, you know what, you could totally do this. Or my dad even, my dad knows how to crochet, but you could totally do this. You don't need any tools, you don't need any crochet hooks, no knitting needles, nothing. You just need your fingers and the scissors and obviously the yarn. But you don't need any skills, like no knowledge of knitting or crocheting. Anybody could do this. This would be a fun project to teach your kids too. So there is this row. Now I changed color after every 3 rows. Okay, now you can change color how often you want, and after this row I will show you exactly how I changed color. So here is, look at how fast this is. It's growing so quickly. Barely any effort, you guys. This is so fun. Okay, so after this row, I changed color, okay? So you want to make sure you pull up the loop in your last stitch, and now to change color, to go on to the next color, I'm going to grab that ball of yarn here. I'm going to grab the end of it. You don't even need to slip knot or anything. You just take a little bit of it, just like this, and stick it through the back of that loop to pull up a loop. Have your working yarn go across that way, and just start pulling up loops with your new color. Now, we obviously don't want it to unravel. So what we're going to do in the next row, I'll show you. This is so super simple. Okay, so I pulled up a few loops here. We still have this at the end here. What we're going to do is cut this, okay, cut this old yarn, take these two and just tie them. Make sure your loop is up and you have enough space in there for your next row. You just want to tie them in a knot, and then it's going to be super simple to just weave this in the back, and I'll show you that later. But what I'm going to do is just continue working this row. Okay, making sure my stitches are not twisted. And also, if you come up to a spot in the middle of your row and you need to change color, just tie a knot. Actually, you can see this yarn is tied right here. So this must have been the end of a skein, and this must have been a new skein, and they just tied a knot with the two yarns there. So you don't have to change color, you just have to attach your next ball of yarn. Okay, so very simple also. So just tie a knot in your yarn, and again, you won't even see it because it's so chunky. It is so incredibly chunky that you won't even see that knot. Okay, so now I have all these loops. This is really coming together already. So now what we want to do is chain this one up, have your working yarn going this way now, and pull these through. So simple. You guys, I'm so excited about this. Okay, there. So just continue doing that all the way until you are done. You can change color like I showed you after every 3 rows, every 5 rows, whatever. It doesn't matter. However often you want to change color, just cut your yarn and then tie those 2 in a knot, and then I can even show you how to weave in those ends now. So we have all of our loops up, and I have these 2 ends here that I need to sew in, or even this one here. You can just go to the back of your work and just go underneath some yarn here and kind of just weave it in basically wherever it fits. And you can separate this ply just like this and kind of just shove it in wherever. You don't even need any yarn needles to sew in or anything. You just need your fingers. And just hide it in the back. And nobody will ever see that. Look at how nice that looks. Okay? And you can just sew it in with the same color though. So this blue color, this, what is this color called? Teal. This teal color has to go sewn into the teal yarn. Okay, you just wrap it a bunch of times and hide it. Boom, done. Awesome. So now when you are making your rows, okay, so now I'm at the end of this row, I'm gonna just continue the pattern. Just gonna bring this over. Okay, make sure this is twisted. This is my working yarn going this way here, going to the next one and pulling up these loops. And you can see the knitted look. Looks fabulous. Even the back side looks fabulous too. This is knitting, dude. This is knitting. I'm so excited about this. I just love it. I just love it so much. So now after this 3rd row, this is my 3rd row of teal here. 1, 2, 3, making sure we have everything good, not twisted. Okay, and after this row, I'm going to change color back to this grayish color. But again, like I said, you don't have to change color every row or every 3 rows or as often as I'm doing it. Okay, so once I have that, okay, I am going to end this color. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing as I showed you here when I changed color to teal. I'm going to take this yarn, fold it just a little bit here, and go to the back here and pull up a loop. Okay, then pull this up through this loop. Okay, make sure nothing's twisted and keep pulling. Just like that. And then once I finish the next 2 rows, I'm going to do 3 rows of this this grayish color as well. I should find the label for it. It just burst off. I don't know what happened. This yarn is so chunky. Okay, so if you come to a spot like this where I lost my loop, okay, you can see 1, 2, and then there's some back here. Just make sure to pull that forward because that's your loop. That's your 3rd loop. Okay, so that's if that happens. You don't want to lose your loops. So I probably am not pulling them up as high enough, so I want to make sure that I keep pulling them high enough, big enough, so that I don't lose them in the back there. Okay, don't want to lose your loops there. Okay, so I'm going to just do the next 2 rows of this gray color here, and then I'm going to come back on screen and show you how to fasten off. Alright, so once you do as many rows as you want, you can do, make your entire blanket. I changed color in this swatch here. I just wanted to show you how to start and stop your pieces, how to change color, how to weave in some ends. You can see here I cut this yarn. I need to tie these two together and then weave in these ends as well. So I showed you that. And now when you are all done and you want to fasten off and you don't want it to unravel, this is what you do next. You take your working yarn. So I did 3 rows here. This is row 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're going to go up here and chain up this one. Okay, then we're going to take this one and put it on top of the next one, just like this. And we're going to go through both of those 2 stitches, and we're going to grab our working yarn and pull that through. Then we're going to go and take this loop, go to the very next loop, and put it on top of that one. And then go through both of those stitches, or both of those loops there, grab your working yarn, and pull that through. And pull up a loop. Then put it over the top of the next one and just repeat. Go into both of those loops, grab your working yarn in the back, pull it forward, pull it over to the next stitch, go through those 2 loops, pull your working yarn through, and do that all the way across. Super simple, you guys. You don't need any tools for this. I mean, this is so fun, so simple. Just anybody can do this. This is great for fast projects, for fast gift ideas for the holidays. The yarn can be spendy, but the time you spend on it is not that much. And somebody who gets this as a gift will be like thinking you slaved over it for so long, like dealing with it. So go over this last one here. And now, to fasten off completely, just chain 1, so pull that through, cut your yarn, pull it all the way through that, and pull tight. And all you have to do is just weave in that end. So just hide it behind your work, underneath some of these stitches there. Oh my gosh, how simple. You can cut any extra, probably you'll need to cut some extra, but there it is. That's the fasten off line. How easy. That's it. So obviously this is just a swatch. I made this super ginormous blanket that I have here, and you can see I have some ends I need to sew in because I didn't sew in some of these ends yet, but you can make this as big as you want it to be. And this one, like I said, is a throw blanket. It's 60 inches long and 50 inches wide. And this one I made using that same exact technique. You can make it as long or big as you want, however long you want it. And there it is. How lovely. So it is super warm though, oh my goodness. So thank you so much for watching and learning how to make this super simple project using no tools but yarn and a scissors. How awesome. Big thank you to Red Heart Yarns for providing this yarn today. Big thank you to my dad back there for filming. Big thank you to you for watching. Enjoy finger knitting the Fluffy Hugs Chunky Blanket. Until next time, happy hooking!